G'day, it's Harvey here, just in my filthy brew shed. Wanted to quickly talk about yeast harvesting. This is something that I do all the time, and strangely, not that many people do it, as it would seem in the homebrew community. People tend to be pitching not quite enough yeast and panicking about how much it costs to get 2 packs of yeast instead of 1 pack of yeast, but actually there's a really good solution right in front of you. So let's talk about the simple way to yeast harvest, and in another video I'll go into the more complicated way, which is what I tend to do. But let's start real simple. You harvest the yeast from the bottom of your fermenter. Could be a conical, could be a bucket, and you stick it in a sanitised jar, and you stick a sanitised jar in the fridge. And you put the date on the yeast, and you put the name of the yeast so you know what strain it is and what batch it came from. It doesn't need to be any more complicated than that. Yeah, you've got the basics, you know what it is, it's in the fridge, it's sanitised. It can stay there for a couple of weeks to several months to a year, maybe, pushing it, to be used at some point in the future. This one here is a California Ale. No, it's not. No, it's a 3470 lager, so this came from a dry yeast. And this one here came from a stout, English Ale 002, so liquid yeast, this one. This one here, it's quite a bit more grainy because it's got bits of hops and bits of trub in there. Whereas this one here was harvested from the bottom of the conical, and I went to extra efforts to not have hops and trub sitting around in the bottom of it. Plus there was less hops in this brew anyway. So yeah, you got really clean yeast in this example, and then not quite so clean yeast in this example. And this plays when you're trying to figure out how much yeast to use in your brew. If it's super duper clean and really pure yeast, then you don't need as much of it. That's the guts of that. So we take the jars of yeast, you figure out how much you've got, you can measure it if you like, or you can just look at it and say, oh, that's about 200 mils. This one here, maybe a little bit more, let's call that 300 mils. I think these are sort of 600-700 mil jars altogether. That's beer on top, it's not water. I'm not washing the yeast at all. It's just literally whatever the sludge is in the bottom of the fermenter, scoop it out with a sanitised utensil, get it into a jar, get it into the fridge, save it for next time. And then figure out how much you need to use. And so you rock up to your favourite yeast calculator. I use one called Mr. Multi, but there's a few different ones that you can pick from. They give you an estimate of how many mils of yeast, or how many ounces, or whatever you Americans use, how much yeast you need for a particular brew. Now, how much you need is based on how strong the beer is. So Russian Imperial Stout is going to need more than a blonde ale because it's bigger, it's got more sugar, you need more yeast cells to deal with it. And a 23 litre batch is going to use twice as much as a 12 litre batch, more or less. So these all go into the calculator, and the third thing you need to worry about is the age of the yeast. So how old is it? Was it harvested yesterday, or has it been sitting there for 2 months? And that's going to make a big difference to the viability, whether you've got mostly healthy yeast or mostly dead yeast. So all this goes into the calculator, and the calculator comes back and says, ta-da, you need 300 mils of yeast. So you get 300 mils. If you don't have 300 mils, then you need to find another way. But if you do, then stick it in, and you're away to go. If you don't have enough yeasts in the original jar, or if it says 300 and you've only got, say, 200, then what I would suggest doing is making a starter out of that yeast. So you take what you do have and then throw it into one of these over here. I use these 5 litre or gallon and a quarter demijohns. Stick the name of the yeast on there, and the jar of yeast goes in there, and then you put a couple of litres of wort, which you either get out of another batch of beer, or you get it from some dry malt, or however you like. You can use a stir plate if you've got one. I've got one, but it broke, so I just use these now, and these work perfectly fine. This has been fermenting all day. I put some fresh wort in here this morning. I'm getting this ready for a brew on Friday. Friday evening we'll be doing one. So it's really just a matter of getting some fresh wort in there and building up the health of the yeast with a starter so that it's ready to pitch the next beer. This one here, it's going into a New England IPA, so that needs to be nice and healthy. This one's going into a Scotch Ale, should be about 10%, so this is going to need to be super healthy to get that job done. Hence why I'm taking the yeast and putting it into starters. You do need to be a little bit mindful of the health of the yeasts. If it smells nasty, if you take a sniff of it and it smells like a sour beer, then it's probably going to make a sour beer. You need to be very careful of that. You need to watch, if you do make starters out of it, you want to see plenty of activity. You want to see lots of bubbles rising. You want to, when you pick it up and give it a shake, what I'm looking for is a good amount of pressure. I want a good amount of hissing when it comes off the boil. So that's hissing quite well, and I've got beer all over my hands. That's actually a good sign. You also don't button down the lids, you just leave them sort of loosely sitting there, because as the pressure builds from the fermentation inside there, you don't want to explode your jar. But if it's producing bubbles and if it's producing gas, especially if it's making a mess when you do that with it, that's all good signs for healthy yeast and shows that it's ready to go into your next brew. So hopefully that's helpful. I will do a bit more of a detailed one in a few weeks' time. But yeah, give it a try. It's a great way to save some money with your brewing. Thanks very much.